morning, or depending when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Ross, and I was always told how to voice radio, so today we're going to be looking at a new Salazzle card. And weirdly enough, right, earlier today I showed you the new Darmanitan. And I told you that Darmanitan had been a little bit annoyed, finally getting his 5th card after waiting pretty much 6 years between our last card and this one. Salazzle getting its 5th different card. Oh yeah, and it's, only come out in Sun and Moon. We are not waiting very long between Salazzle cards, ladies and gentlemen. We had one in Guardians Rising, we had one in Crimson Invasion, we had one in Ultra Prism, not to mention the GX, and let's not forget that the GX also came as a promo, and one of them, if we want to be specific, the one from Crimson Invasion, also came as a promo. For all that Darmanitan is being ignored, Salazzle really isn't. Though I'm still annoyed about the evolution rules in the game and will continue to mispronounce the name. I'm sorry, please don't stop watching, I love you. So, what does a new Salazzle do? Well, let's start off, as we always do, with the basics. And it's looking alright, to be perfectly honest with you. 110 HP is quite low, but it is in keeping of the Salazzles in the past. So that's all alright by me. Weakness to water, as expected, to be perfectly honest. Now, of course, I should mention Empoleon here, which I'm personally championing, and Glaceon, but you got 110 HP. Weakness is not hideously important. Retreat cost of 1 is good, especially as it has got a single cost attack. And being a fire Pokemon means you're hitting weakness on grass Pokemon like Golisopod, as well as metal Pokemon like Duskmane Necrozma. So that's pretty nice. And we've got the usual tricks for fire Pokemon, like Kiawe, like Scorched Earth. I did go into them earlier today, so I don't want to repeat too much from one video to the next. So what does it actually do? Well, our translation comes from the lovely David Hochmann over at LimitlessTCG.com, and it's got 2 fairly useful attacks, and by now you probably knew that Salazzle was going to be having some kind of special condition, because to be perfectly honest, we've not had one yet that doesn't do special conditions. For 1 fire energy, burn, and the defending Pokemon cannot retreat during your opponent's next turn. Oh, and it does 20 damage as well. Now, the new burn rules really help out here. You take 20 damage between turns, flip a coin. If heads, you are no longer burned. So this does a minimum of 30 while leaving them burned, while also making sure that they can't retreat the following turn. Now, this is important because we've, of course, got Weller Volcano Park coming in this Dragonstorm set as well, which says that your opponent is still burned even if they flip heads between turns. And the great thing here is that even if your opponent were to do something like play a Field Blower, you burn them. Doesn't matter what they flip, Weller Volcano Park's there, they're still burned. Even if they Field Blower, they are still burned. So they take that 20 damage, then they flip a coin and they might get unburned, but then it's your turn again, so you can essentially make sure they are in perpetual burn here. And of course there is the Infernape, which means they take 6 damage counters between turns from burn rather than 2. But as I've been saying about Infernape since it got revealed, it really is a stage 2 that we're playing just to do a bit of extra burn damage. It's a little bit much if you ask me. I'm not saying it's never going to see play, but it is a little bit much and you're going to need some kind of draw support in order to really pull that off. So basically your opponent has to switch out the active to escape the burn. And now we are really starting to get there. Now we're basically saying, look, this is a single prize Pokemon. I'm only committing 1 energy to this. So you know what? I am absolutely fine doing this, and you're going to keep taking damage from burn. Now, you're quite fragile, you are likely to get KO'd quite quickly, but you can really build up the burn here. And also, you can really make this work in your favour. So let's take something like an Alolan Vulpix, a Pokemon which is often played on its own without any evolutions, because it's got Beacon. Well, what you do is you do 20 damage and burn it. Your opponent cannot retreat. Annoying, because it's only got a retreat cost of 1. They've got to get it out the active with some kind of switching card, or it then takes burn damage going into your turn, gets KO'd, and then your opponent puts up a Pokemon and you get a free hit. In the early game against something like an Alolan Vulpix, I adore this card. Now, it's not going to work quite so well against something like a Zorua, because your opponent will have the chance to evolve it, which will get rid of the burn, and let's face it, no one's playing Zorua without playing Zoroark as well. That's just a bit silly. Now, the good news is we do have a stadium for that as well. We've got Sea of Nothingness, which means that they will not be able to get rid of the burn by evolving. Unfortunately, you can't play that and Weller Volcano Park. The other thing is here, this is quite important, if your opponent evolves, they will then be able to retreat. So I like it a lot. There are ways around it. Of course, the biggest issues here are Ace Roller and Guzma, which are being played in an awful lot of decks and will give most people a way around this. It's one of the main reasons special conditions are not that big in the game at the moment, because people just have way too many ways around it. Bit of a pain, but that's okay, because this isn't your be-all and end-all, I am going to win the game. This is, I'm taking a cheeky prize or putting some damage on to bring you within range, and then I'm going to come in with my main attacker and I'm going to roll with that. 20 and burn is alright for 1 energy, but the fact that your opponent cannot then retreat, meaning they've got to either waste resources to try and get something like an Ace Roller or just keep taking the burn, and the fact that you can use Weller Volcano Park here to make sure your opponent doesn't get out of the burn. That, ladies and gentlemen, that is what I'm really liking here. Now, the second attack also has a little bit of use. 1 fire, 1 colorless energy, flamethrower. We've seen this on a billion Pokemon over the years. Do some damage, discard an energy. I mean, flamethrower on fire Pokemon is pretty much like shred on dragon Pokemon. It's been on approximately 1 billion of them over the years. Big fan. It does the right amount of damage. 80 damage is enough to KO something like a Curlier, or pretty much any evolving basic, which is nice. If you're hitting for weakness against Golisopod, you add a choice band, you're doing 110. With weakness, you're doing 220. There's your KO. I'm not saying it's some kind of amazing, game-breaking, groundbreaking, unheard of attack, because it's not. It is a standard attack. But what I really like about this is you can use it for a counter energy. Now, we need counter energy Pokemon. Now, ideally, they will be basic Pokemon, but also it needs to be for 1 counter energy. For metal Pokemon, we've got Cobalion, that is our counter energy Pokemon. For grass Pokemon, we've got Shaman, that is our counter energy Pokemon. For fighting Pokemon, we've got Sudowoodo. That's our counter energy Pokemon. We don't have a great one for fire. We have Victini Prism Star that's going to be coming out in the same set, and I like that a lot, but it's a one-shot thing. So, having a Pokemon like this that can just, for 1 counter energy, do enough damage to hit for weakness, it's good. I mean, if you're using a choice band, you get a 1-hit KO on either Golisopod or Dustmane the Crozma. That, to me, sounds pretty gosh darn good. It is a stage 1, which, firstly, it takes away the surprise factor. You can't just drop it, counter energy attack. And secondly, it takes up more space in your deck, and then maybe you don't find the evolution, etc. But as it stands at the moment, I love it. It's a good card for counter energy. There's nothing about this Salazzle which is absolutely amazing. But the first attack is kind of good for a single energy to disrupt your opponent, get some energy on the board, and maybe even buy you some time. And the second attack here is good with counter energy. It's not a Pokemon to build a deck around, but I can see it seeing a bit of play here or there, and for that reason, I'm giving it between 3 and 4 Wassies. It's probably my favourite of the Salazzle so far, although the one with the ability is pretty nice for the ability, and I suppose the GX did see a lot of play. But I suppose the other thing to remember here is, you've got all those other Salazzles. There is nothing to stop you playing them and, just evolving your Salander into whichever one you like. You can play multiple Salazzles, and that's alright by me. But as always, ladies and gentlemen, it's time to hear from you. I want your opinions. Let me know in the comment section. Go nuts, but be nice. Make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at the Wassie, and Twitch for some live action at twitch.tv/. patreon.com/PTCGRadio. If you want to support the channel, get some bonus podcasts and so on, head on over to patreon.com/PTCGRadio, and that's where you find that. Do make sure you check out Wassy Plays for more Wassy action, but by far the most important thing as always is to look after yourselves. Until next time, thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.